Something Locked Me In by SmirkyShrugs. First of all, I know this probably gets thrown around a lot, but this is a very true story. Just over 10 years ago, I was in a punk, grunge metal band. It was mainly me and my drummer Derek. We had a male screamo vocalist who had cuts all over his body and would always take off his shirt during performances. We called ourselves Dudditch, which was supposed to be a pun on porno music. You'll get it if you say the name 3 times. So we had just taken on a new second vocalist and a bassist who happened to live in the same town about half an hour away from our town. Our new vocalist was a white female named Julie, who had previously turned down a record deal to sing country music. She could sing beautifully and would also scream, but only when the lights were off. Our new bassist was an Asian male named Mike, who had never played an instrument before. So I was teaching him how to play bass on my guitar. Altogether, now there were 5 of us. My friend Derek, the drummer, would often inadvertently send girls scurrying my way due to his persistently hitting on them. That's what happened with Julie. She and I started spending a lot of time together. We had all decided to spend a weekend in the town that Julie and Mike were from. We would eat at Julie's house and then practice at Mike's house. Saturday night after practice, we were all sitting around and drinking and talking when Julie started to talk about a haunted house in the area. She said that 2 families had lived there in a row, which were wiped out by a murder/suicide carried out by the father. Supposedly, both times the father had used an axe on the family, and then a gun on himself. Supposedly, both times the attack started at the dinner table. We all piled into a car and headed over to go check out this haunted house. I don't think any of us were scared in the slightest. I had no fears of anything superstitious. But as soon as we pulled up in front of the house, I felt a strange, creepy vibe. It was the most sincere fear which I cannot describe. It sounds corny to say it, but it's as if I could sense an evil presence. It felt colder there. It seemed darker there. The ominous vibes that we all seemed to be feeling didn't stop us from carrying on laughing and joking with one another. We walked around the house talking about how we could get in, noting that both the front door and the back door, and the windows as well as the cellar door, were all secured with screws and nails. We decided to use a nearby makeshift tool of some kind to help pry off the back door, and as soon as we stepped inside, the ominous vibes intensified. But still, it didn't stop us from laughing and having fun as we made our way around the inside of the small house. We ended up spending most of the time, 5 or so minutes, in the basement, which was just one big room with a dividing wall. The other 3 walked upstairs and out the back door while me and Julie stayed behind, making out in the basement for maybe a couple of minutes. It stayed dead silent the entire time, and I think that that's eventually what got to us and broke us up, causing us to head upstairs to join the others. As we got upstairs, we could hear loud music coming from Julie's car outside, and we could smell weed being smoked by our 3 friends. But when we reached the back door, the wood was back, covering the exit, and the nails were back in their holes, bent over from the inside. I remained surprisingly calm as I realized that this could only be done from the inside. Julie and I looked over at each other and laughed at our apparent predicament. We stood there pounding on the door and yelling for a good 5 to 10 minutes, but our friends couldn't hear us over their music. We calmly walked all over the house again, making sure that the coverings of the other exits wouldn't budge and that no one was left in the house with us. As we made our way back through the house, Julie stayed very close to me and held my hand, so close that our shoulders were touching. When we went back down into the basement, it was significantly quieter. We were no longer able to hear the music from the car or our friends' laughter. It also got significantly colder, and I felt an eerie presence which I just dismissed. Though I mumbled under my breath, "Satan, I rebuke you in the name of Jesus," just like my mom had taught me to do. We went again to the back door, and as Julie stepped back, I began alternately throwing my shoulder into it and kicking at it. Eventually, my leg went through the old door and the piece of wood that had been nailed over the doorway from the outside. I stuck my arm out the hole and waved it around, screaming with my mouth to the hole. They had been standing outside the car smoking with the doors open and the music blaring, but they finally noticed us. They came back over and helped us break away a hole big enough for us to crawl out through. To this day, the thing that surprises me even more so than the nails being bent over from the inside is just how calm that I was able to remain in spite of the profound, overwhelming sense of, well, I don't even know what. This is an important story to me, and I know I can never do the experience justice, but at least I'm not the only one who knows that it was real. Julie was with me,